Okay, looks like we're go. Dockers. Let's continue to learn Dockers. There's several lessons on Dockers coming. Dockers. Dockers display the same types of controls as a dialog box. Dockers display the same types of controls as a dialog box, such as command buttons, options, and list boxes. Dockers display the same types of controls as a dialog box, such as command buttons, options, and list boxes. Unlike most dialog boxes, you can keep Dockers open while working on a document, so you can readily access the commands to experiment with different effects. How convenient! Unlike most dialog boxes, you can keep Dockers open while you're working on a document. So you can have all your tools in what they call a Docker. So unlike most dialog boxes, you can keep Dockers open while working on a document, so you can readily access the commands to experiment with different effects. Dockers have features similar to palettes in other graphics programs. So that's assuming that Adobe Photo Paint has what they would call palettes. So Dockers have the same or have features similar to palettes in other graphics programs. And by the way, Photoshop, if you're used to that, Adobe has a preset that you can use that will give your appearance on the program similar to Adobe Photoshop, so you don't really, it'll make it easy to transcend. It'll make it easy to change over. Dockers can be either docked or floating. Dockers can be either docked or floating. A docked Docker is attached to the edge of the application window, or a toolbar, or a palette. Dockers can be either docked or floating. A docked Docker is attached to the edge of the application window, a toolbar, or a palette. I've seen Dockers mostly on either this side or this side. That would be, let's see, what would you call that? That would be, yeah, well, that's what they're calling attached to the edge. I've seen them on here, here. I think you can turn them into a bar up here, a Docker, turn it into a bar. And I think that's what they mean with this description. If you open, let's see what it says here. A floating Docker is not attached to a workspace element. A floating Docker is not attached to a workspace element. So I guess you can move it around, it floats around. If you open several Dockers, they usually appear nested. And so they would be, when you close one, it would nest over here with other Dockers. And then you would click on wherever that particular Docker is. Like I said, you can have them on the other side for sure. So you can have a Docker on each side, and you can have nested Dockers on each side. I believe that's true. I know you can have nested on this side for sure. Logic dictates that you could on this side as well. If you open several Dockers, they usually appear nested with only one Docker fully displayed. You can quickly display a Docker hidden from view by clicking a Docker's tab. That's what I was talking about. It'll be over here. You click the tab and it'll open it up quickly. You can move Dockers and you can collapse Dockers to save screen space. You can move Dockers, move it somewhere else, and you can collapse Dockers to save screen space. The title bar of the Docker, Object Manager Docker. To go to a Docker, you would go to Windows, Dockers. So up here there'll be a menu that says Windows, and then you search for and you click Dockers, and then you click, in this instance, this example, Object Manager Docker. So this is to collapse the Docker button. That's what you would click to shrink the Docker, to nest it, to give you more space. Collapse Docker button right here. Close the button to get rid of the Docker altogether. Altogether, if you want to get rid of the Docker, click the X button. This is the tab that you would click to open the Docker. Tab of the active. So this is active right now, but if you wanted to close it, you would click, collapse it, make it small, you would click this right here. Okay, if you want to close it, get rid of it, you click the X right here. Here, see, okay, here we go. So this one's open, but this one, if you clicked on this tab, it would open the Get More Docker tab of a Docker hidden from view, see? So you could click this, and it would expand. And I think at the same time it would collapse this one if you just click this. If you didn't collapse this object manager, I believe that if you click this, it will collapse it by itself. And look at that. Look at all those. Well, look what that object manager does. I can't wait to learn this stuff. 4 years I've been doing this and I still haven't learned this. It's crazy. There's just no excuse. There is no excuse. But look at all these layers, you can make, these are all separate objects that you can manipulate and put on top of each other and do all kinds of cool things with. Look at that, there's even a background object. An example of a Docker is the Object Manager Docker. The Object Manager Docker displays thumbnails of the image background. Thumbnails of the image background. So this would be a thumbnail. These little images here is a thumbnail, what they call a thumbnail. The Object Manager Docker displays the thumbnails of the image background and each object layer, as well as command buttons and options related to objects. Command buttons. Command buttons. I guess maybe these are command buttons. I know this is off and on. If you hit this, it will not display on the window. If you click this, you will not be seen in the image window. These are all seen because it says it has the eyeball. If you see that eyeball, that means you can see all of these on the image layered together. Alright, that's going to wrap this one because the next one will be to open and close a Docker. It'll be a short one probably.